Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachhalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं सहितं चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शुभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते रघुनाथ स्वामी नामने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारणं करोति वाचालं भंगं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्ण। So welcome back. So after Sri Janmashtami festivities, we have had suddenly, such a concentrated festival phase. Janmashtami followed by, of course, Balram Purnima, then Janmashtami, followed by Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, and then Ekadashi. So many auspicious days to both express our devotion to the Lord and also develop our devotion to the Lord. So hope, according to our capacity, we have made an effort to take benefit of these opportunities that the Lord creates for all of us. Madhava Tithi, Bhakati Janani. That these tithis which represent the Lord, and for that matter, even his pure devotees, these observances are not just mere mundane observances. They are the mother of devotion. Madhava Tithi, which means a Tithi which is connected to Lord Madhav. Bhakati Janani is the mother of devotion. So activities which are done in devotional service are not just punyas. They are transcendental spiritual bhakti credits which remain eternally in the transcendental bank account of the sadhaka devotee. So we have had a short period of break in our katha because of all these various festivities. So we are resuming today with Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we are actually in the process of discussing one of the most profound, confidential part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the core of the teachings, that part which is actually the most dear to Lord Chaitanya. And these very deep teachings are being revealed through the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya. This is happening in South India. The Lord is on a South India tour on the bank of the Godavari near Vidyanagar, meets Ramananda Rai, and they start having various conversations. And the Lord first inquires about the goal of life, and we discussed how across various increasing stages, beginning with following one's varnashram dharma, the Lord encourages Ramananda Rai to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the goals of life. And finally, he concludes on the highest of the high, the Madhurya Ras between Radha and Krishna in Vraja. So what is the ultimate prayojan? The ultimate, most highest attainment possible for a jiva is to render loving devotional service to Radha and Krishna, especially in their Madhurya Ras. Even in Vraja, even in Vrindavan, there are 4 rasas: Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. In an increasing order of intimacy with Krishna, the most uninhibited, the most selfless, and simultaneously the most pleasing to Krishna is the Madhurya Ras, the Kanta Bhava, consort. Their love is such that it really, really pleases Krishna. Krishna hankers for that kind of love. And amongst the various Kantas, we discussed how Radharani is actually the topmost. And who's this Radharani? She is actually that one truth who has become two for the purpose of enjoyment. She is the Ladini Shakti. She is the pleasure potency. Of course, her love, the highest level of which is known as Mahabhav, is not something which is attainable for the living entities. But the highest attainment which is possible for the living entities, as discussed and revealed from the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya, is that the living entity can enter into those pastimes of Radha and Krishna and experience that kind of a rasa by being in their service. There is nothing higher than this. So Lord Chaitanya was so happy when he heard about this particular revelation. Ramananda Rai, of course, refuses to take credit. He says, "Oh Lord, what? I am an insignificant person. You are only inspiring me to say various things that I am speaking." So anyway, very beautiful, glorious discussion of Radha Rani's Tattva, Krishna's Tattva. All these things we have discussed in great detail. Krishna's form, Krishnera Swarup, Radhara Swarup, the glory of the pastime, the Vilasa Mahatva of Radha and Krishna, which in that conversation essentially we discussed how actually Ramananda Rai establishes the glory of this as the pinnacle of attainment. It's like the final word in transcendental realization. Now, after reaching this point, because this is the pinnacle, there's nothing more. And Lord Chaitanya is very pleased. Lord Chaitanya follows this conversation with the right question, which should be the question, hopefully, which has come into our mind also. So Lord Chaitanya tells Ramananda Rai, this goal is top class. But for achieving any goal, there is a process. For every sadhya, there is a sadhana. There's a destination, then there is a journey from where you are to where you want to be. There's a journey, there is a process to bridge the gap between your end goal and your current situation. So Lord Chaitanya's natural question for the benefit of all living entities like us is, O Ramananda Rai, now you please be merciful on me. Please explain that sadhana by which this particular goal can be attained. Very good question. And Ramananda Rai again taking a very humble conversation by actually expressing his. Of course, he's very, very qualified. He's none other than Vishakha Sakhi, one of the closest Gopis, Kaya Vyuha Sakhis of Srimati Radharani, Lalita and Vishakha, two of them, they are the most intimate. And they so actively nourish this Radha Krishna Lila. There is no one who is more qualified than them in this subject matter. But this is the nature of a devotee. The nature of a devotee is the more advanced he is. It is the nature of pure devotion to think oneself very insignificant. This kind of a humility is a natural consequence of those who have attained extreme devotion to Krishna. So they are not feigning. Like sometimes, when we meet amongst each other, because we have heard we have to be humble, devotees has to be humble, we try to act humble. And that is good. Because initially we may have to do that, but we try to act, Prabhu, I am the most fallen. Prabhu, you are wonderful. I am the most fallen. So it's okay at our level, it's okay. But we may not actually be feeling anything like that. In our heart, sometimes we are thinking that by displaying humility, we'll be appreciated. Oh, this Prabhu is so humble. This Mataji is so humble. Then we feel good. You see, such a humble devotee. So that is our debacle. We display humility to attract attention and appreciation to become proud. But the nature of humility of those who are truly advanced, very naturally, a person who understands the unlimited glory of God, even though they themselves may be so great, they think of themselves as so insignificant and small. So very humbly, in a very true, genuine spirit of humility, and we see this even in Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami had that conversation many sessions ago. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pained to see it's, they were so humble in spite of being from such a extraordinary background. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, your humility is breaking my heart. So Ramananda Rai, in a similar mood of humility, he tells, oh Lord, I don't know. You are asking me so many questions. I don't actually know what I am speaking. I again want to reiterate, I am not qualified. But you are inspiring me to speak. So, you are asking question, you are giving me inspiration from the heart. So actually, you are only speaking, you are only listening. I am just instrument. And this is another consciousness of those who are very advanced in spiritual consciousness. They understand that ultimately they are instruments. Because even all power, all ability in us, or for that matter in anybody, not just about devotees, but for that matter in everybody, is ultimately coming from the Lord. And especially devotees, even those who preach, those who write books, they always understand that they are driven by an internal direction from the Lord. The more a person becomes an instrument in the hands of the Lord, the more powerfully Krishna's mercy emanates from that devotee. And that is why at the beginning of the class, we always pray. We pray not just to take blessings, give good class. Oh Lord, I'm praying, please make sure I give such an attractive class that everybody such a good speaker. So the devotee's mood is to pray to the Lord that, oh Lord, give me the right memory, right intelligence to speak the right things. Not only the right things, but based on your desire, the things which the audience needs to hear. Sometimes it's so wonderful, and there will be many, many, many episodes where sometimes a person has such a big problem. He doesn't know what to do. He's praying to Krishna, and he goes and happens to sit in a class, and the speaker is exactly speaking about that problem and gives the solution to that problem. No question asked, nothing. It just comes. And then later they come and tell the speaker, and the speaker says, yeah, I was not even planning to speak. I don't know. It just came in my consciousness and I just spoke. So the Lord is inspiring. So the Lord speaks through his devotees. And this is the experience of many, many, many devotees. And it's not just through devotees. Sometimes even with books of Srila Prabhupada, the scriptures, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, devotee is very disturbed and he opens a page and suddenly he sees a line. This is exactly what he has been, thinking about. So the Lord, through various ways, is communicating to us. So devotee who understands this and who is cognizant of his position as an instrument is always very humble. And Ramananda Rai maintains that humble position. Can you imagine Radha and Krishna combined are asking him questions about spiritual life? Person will think that. Of all the people in the universe, who could have been more qualified than me? That Radha and Krishna came looking for me to the bank of Godavari and asked me questions. But Ramananda is not thinking like that. I don't know. Just selected me. Your Lila, you only know. You are only speaking through my mouth and you are only listening to it. So why I'm emphasizing this point, even though it is mentioned in passing, this kind of a humility seen again and again through this chapter. And this is a very important aspect of a Vaishnava's consciousness. That is why even as a preacher, or for that matter, any seva we do, any way we help, inspire, serve, a devotee always sees that he is just an instrument in the hands of the Lord. He doesn't say, I take credit. I made him a devotee. I preach to him. A devotee is just grateful. Oh Lord, you could have chosen anyone to be a conduit of your compassion, but you allowed me to do the seva. Thank you very much. My life has become perfect because you used me as an instrument. So that is my glory. Could have chosen anyone, but for this seva, chose me. So this kind of an attitude is actually very pleasing to the Lord. And the Lord likes offerings which are offered in a humble consciousness. The Lord, there's one thing that the Lord cannot tolerate. The Lord can tolerate mistakes, but the Lord cannot tolerate pride, arrogance, offensive mentality. The Lord likes a simple and humble heart. So Ramananda Rai then begins answering the question on what is the process by which one can attain this kind of a loving service to Radha and Krishna. Now please understand, this kind of topic is very rare. We have been speaking in the Bhagavatam about the universe and the Brahma's life and Kalpa and this and that. So many things we have discussed, right? Again, to put in context, Radha and Krishna's love or even existence of Radha and Krishna is not clearly understood in most of the day of Brahma. Because Krishna in his original form appears only once in a day of Brahma. Even though there are 1000 Chaturyugas in a day of Brahma, only one out of them he appears in the Dwapara, And he and that knowledge of Radha Krishna and his past will manifest for a few thousand years. And after that, this is very, very confidential knowledge. Huh? This is the sneak peek into the private life of God. Generally, we have knowledge about Vaikuntha, Narayana, the opulent representation of the Lord. But Lord in his original form, at his home, where he is in an uninhibited way expressing and sharing love and affection with his most intimate consort and his devotees. That is a very, very high subject matter, which is generally not revealed because most people cannot appreciate or understand. Only once in a day of Brahma. And we are fortunate that we happen to be here. Of course, we have been around in all the other yugas also. It's not that we suddenly came into existence now. But in this place, in this time, where it happens to be this time, we are somehow become fortunate to come into contact with this knowledge. Now, what we make of this is again up to us, because Krishna never forces. Krishna is saying, my door is I'm opening for this short time. You want to come? You want to come? You want to come? No? Okay, no problem. So for us, he is sharing this information. What is that process? If you are getting attracted to this love between Radha and Krishna, and you feel this is so wonderful, this is so amazing, this kind of love I want to develop. Of course, we cannot become Radharani. That is impossible. But we can participate in their pastimes by being a servant in their pastimes. How can that be achieved? So Ramananda Rai starts explaining. He says, these pastimes are, my Lord, very, very, very confidential. Even those who are in the mood of Sakhyaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras or Vatsalyaras, they also are not able to fully understand these kind of pastimes because these are very high. Only the gopis of Vraja have the adhikar, the qualification to understand and participate in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. They not only participate, but they expand, they do the vistar of these kind of pastimes. And they nourish these pastimes because they are actively serving Radha and Krishna in their Jugala Milan. When Radha and Krishna come together to enjoy in their Kaishor Lila, very beautiful sporting pastimes of pure love, they are assisted and supported and their pastimes are nourished by these intimate gopis. And Ramananda Rai declares it very boldly and he says, since the Lord Chaitanya, you asked about what is the process? Only by taking shelter of these gopis and by following in the footsteps of these gopis, is there any hope of attaining this kind of love to Radha and Krishna in the groves of Vrindavan? So you want to enter into the Nikunja Lila. Nikunja means in the forests of Braj, there are nice bowers, beautiful flower bowers, which are like natural, very beautiful natural, you can say like small houses, huts, naturally formed, in which Radha, Krishna and the gopis come together in their beautiful shade, in their beautiful surroundings. They have many beautiful sweet exchanges of love. And the gopis are assisting Radha and Krishna's Jugala Milana. There is no other process. There is no other process to attain that kind of love. And that doesn't mean that you have to stop chanting, stop following four regulatory principles. Huh? Oh, I heard in the class there's no other process. Huh? But the point is that it is ultimately this door which has to open, which gives us entrance into, but we have to still traverse the journey up to that door. Correct? Huh? Yeah. To enter into Malaysia, you have to come to Kuala Lumpur International Airport. But to reach Kuala Lumpur International Airport, you have to take a flight. You have to leave from your home in India, take a taxi, go to Mumbai Airport, check in, sit in the flight, traverse, come down. But to enter, there is a specific door. I'm just giving a mundane example. So there is a journey even to come to the door, but ultimately, no matter what other processes you do, all other processes are meant to purify. Even sadhana bhakti is meant to purify us from all material contamination. But even for a person who is fully free from all material contamination, even through the process of jnana, yoga, even through the process of bhakti, if that bhakti is not of the nature of following the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan, that door of Radha and Krishna's loving service will not open. That is what essentially Ramananda Rai is trying to explain. And he briefly expounds on this and he says, please understand. Of course, he doesn't use this language to Lord Chaitanya, but I'm just saying so that we understand that please understand that what is the nature of these gopis' love. Their love is very, 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 very superlative. The essential, most prominent characteristics of the gopis' love for Radha and Krishna is that they have absolutely no consideration of any kind of selfish interest. They are not thinking, oh yeah, I'll also be with Radha and Krishna in the Nikunja. As they are enjoying, I'll also have a good time. Right? Just like, when we want to go to a party. Let's say, Mukesh Ambani throws a party at Antilla. We also are trying to get somehow a pass to get in there. Go and say, yes, I will go. And I'll have a good time. I will be there with the who's who. And I was there. I will take photos. I'll post. I was there. This is not the consciousness. The gopis have a thoroughly selfless consciousness where their exclusive motivation is to give pleasure to Radha and Krishna. There is no consideration of whether they themselves find happiness or don't find happiness. In fact, their consciousness is, even if I suffer terrible, terrible misery in the process of giving little pleasure to Radha and Krishna, I consider my life successful. They genuinely feel like that. That's why they are never eager, the gopis are never eager to enjoy with Krishna. Their consciousness always is how I can serve Radharani to give pleasure to Krishna. Because the gopis know that Radharani is the only person who can actually attract Krishna's heart and give pleasure to Krishna. What is my capacity at this? As compared to Radharani, what is the position? And we have discussed this topic already earlier, so I'm not going to go too much into that. Radharani is the full manifestation of the Ladini potency. She is the full reservoir of devotion. She is only giving us one drop. What is our ability to compare with her capacity to give pleasure to Krishna? And Krishna is fully satisfied only in her association and her seva. So the gopis' consciousness always is how I can assist Radharani to please Krishna, because my objective, the gopis thinking, is to give pleasure to Krishna. But I have limited capacity to please Krishna. Radharani has unlimited capacity. Let me assist. So they are never trying to take a prominent position. They are not telling Krishna, Hello, hi, I am here. They are quietly assisting Radha and Krishna. Now they are doing this so selflessly, but Radharani is the topmost of the topmost devotees. She is the topmost of this mentality also. So even though the gopis are not trying to get Krishna's attention, Radharani is so kind on all the gopis that she is trying to attract Krishna's attention to the gopis. So Radharani will tell, oh, Krishna, you saw that gopi? She has made such a nice kheer for you. She's the one who made, you like this? Yeah, yeah. She'll call the gopi and say, give all of them an opportunity to have an opportunity to closely interact with Krishna. That is the nature of. See, this is the spiritual mood. The spiritual mood is not about, like in the material world, we are all fighting for with each other. I push you back and I come in the front. The spiritual mood is the mood of how one can. Each person is trying to push the other person in front of Krishna. And when Krishna sees this, he becomes so happy. So this is the difference between the material world and spiritual world. This is the meaning of seva. Because ultimately, everyone is very focused on their one primary objective. I want to please Krishna. And that is why the love of the gopis is so super excellent. So this is the essential difference. That's why even though sometimes the Ramananda Rai also explains, Mahaprabhu explains many times, the Acharyas explain many times, even though the affairs of love between Radha and Krishna and the gopis and Krishna sometimes appear externally as if it's a material lusty relationship. Like a relationship between a boy and a girl. In the material world, when a boy and a girl are associating with each other, the boy wants to take pleasure from the girl and the girl wants to take pleasure from the boy. Both are thinking, they're not thinking, oh, how I will serve him, or he's not thinking how I will serve her. Of course, movies and film songs will, try to make it appear like that, but that is not the reality. So everyone in all material relationships, deep down, there is a selfish consideration. But this love, which appears like lust, actually there is no element of material lust. Why? Because lust by definition means desire to please one's own senses. Atmendriya pritivancha tarbale kam. Shendriya pritivancha dhare premanam. When the desire is to please one's own senses, it is known as lust, even if it is in connection with Krishna. Of course, being lusty for Krishna, even from a material perspective, is much more glorious than being materially attracted to, a mundane person. But that is not the standard of devotion that we are talking about. If you talk about Krishna Lila, I'm just slightly deviating. Kubja was attracted like that to Krishna. Now, if you have read the Kubja's pastime very carefully, most of the time we don't go into those details, at least especially when it is depicted. Kubja was not an old hunchback lady. She was actually a young girl, but she was hunchback. And when she sees Krishna, she feels in her heart attracted to Krishna and she feels a desire to serve him with some attraction, which is not pure love, but she's nonetheless attracted. And Krishna obliges her by allowing her to place some sandalwood paste, and then Krishna rewards her. I'm just quickly going through the pastime, and Krishna just puts finger under her chin and pulls her up, and her hunchback disappears. And suddenly she transforms into a very beautiful young maiden. She's already young, but Now she is not hunchback and she looks more beautiful being touched by Krishna. And then she's attracted to Krishna, like a young girl is attracted to a young boy. So she approaches Krishna, but her heart is not attracted to Krishna in the same way that the gopis are attracted to Krishna. Gopis' attraction to Krishna is purely how to give pleasure to Krishna. So Kubja's love was not that pure, but Krishna still understanding that nonetheless she's attracted to me, and that is the glory of dovetailing our emotions towards Krishna, that eventually we get purified and then eventually that lust disappears. So Kubja somehow through that connection with Krishna and that attempt to serve Krishna eventually got purified from that selfish consideration even in serving Krishna and came to a higher platform. So that blessing Krishna eventually gave her through his association. But the gopis are the pinnacle. They are free from all these considerations. They are at the top level, the top tier of selflessness. For the gopis, Krishna's Kavira, Ramananda Rai, saying Krishna's Kavira Goswami is writing, says that for the gopis, even when they think that this Krishna whose feet are so soft, he is walking in the forest of Vraj, oh, how much his soft feet must be pained by the pebbles which are on the path of Vraja. And it pains their heart. So this is the nature of love. What is the meaning of love? Love, if you actually love a person, you become happy when they become happy and you become sad when they become sad. It's a very simple definition. To be happy in somebody's happiness and to be sad in their sadness. And that is why those are very great souls. They are known as Paradukha Dukhi. They see others sad, they become sad. When they see everybody is happy, they are happy. Because they are not concerned about their happiness. They are always concerned about others' happiness. That is how love expands. Initially, it may be for people near us, but for those who become very advanced, their consciousness is concerned with everybody. Sarve sukhina santu, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid sabhato. They want to create auspiciousness for everybody, and the highest auspiciousness is Krishna consciousness. So Ramananda Rai is further expanding on this topic. He gave the principle. If you want this love, have to follow in the footsteps of the... First, you have to take shelter of the gopi. Means, what does taking shelter of the gopi and following in the footsteps mean? Take shelter means, just like, you become an intern under a gopi. Take shelter and said, oh, gopi, please accept me as your servant and train me. I take shelter of you, please instruct me. Let me be an assistant to you and please guide me so that I can develop your mood and I can be trained by you to serve Radha and Krishna. And that is why Ramananda Rai says these are the gopis who expand this kind of love. So nobody can enter into that zone. Zone in the sense, that kind of devotion without having taken shelter of the gopis. They are the exclusive givers of entry into that kind of love of Vraja. So this kind of a path, Ramananda Rai explains, is known as the Raga Anuga Marga. Raga Anuga. Raga Anuga means where the heart is following an intense attraction to this kind of pure love. Typically, sadhakas like us, we do Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Okay, Bhagavad Gita says you have to chant, you have to remember Krishna, you have to offer the fruits of activities, you have to offer Naivedya. So we are following rules and regulations, tuck, 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 checklist. We are doing it with a sense of duty. Of course, there may be some element of love and gratitude and all that. That is expected. But we are not spontaneously attracted to serve Krishna in a particular mood. Raga Marga is the path where the heart is spontaneously attracted to Krishna to serve in a particular way, and in this particular case, specifically in the mood of the gopis. All bhakti in Vraja is Raga Marga. But we are now talking amongst the Raga, the topmost path of Raga, which is following the footsteps of the gopis of Vraja. So one cannot attain that kind of a devotion by studying Vedas, by doing even sadhana, even devotional sadhana. One cannot attain that devotion unless one comes to the path of Raga Marga, which means eventually one is attracted to spontaneous devotional service. So, how does the spontaneous devotional service come? How does the Jiva transition from a Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti? This attraction to serve Krishna in one of the five rasas, in especially the four rasas in Vraja. How does that kind of a desire arise that one feels, oh yeah, I want to serve like the gopis. Oh, I want to serve like Yashoda Maiya serves Krishna. I want to serve like Sridama Subal and play with Krishna along with the cows and the calves, or whatever other moods of service may come. It is said, Ramananda explains, that in a liberated state, when a person becomes purified of all material contamination and achieves the stage of being free from material contamination, if he is fortunate to associate with a devotee who has developed already or has that kind of a mood to serve the Lord, then that kind of a mood can also be awakened in our heart. And when that kind of a mood becomes awakened in our heart to serve Krishna in a particular way, then we take shelter of that particular advanced devotee who has that mood. And then we can take shelter and follow in their footsteps and then develop that mood and take it to its completion in terms of fully blossoming into a servant of the Lord, that particular mood. And then one can eventually enter Goloka Vrindavan and serve Krishna like that. Examples given by Ramananda Rai. He says, when Krishna appeared in this world, the personified Shrutis. Does anyone know where the personified Shrutis reside? Anyone? Remember? Where the personified Shrutis stay, which is their abode. So those who heard previous classes very attentively may recollect that we mentioned that in Brahmaloka, along with Lord Brahma and so many other perfected souls, the personified scriptures, Upanishads, they all also reside. But they also, even though they are liberated, they have also not developed this kind of love, because even with liberation, this love doesn't automatically come, especially this kind of a spontaneous love. So when Krishna and Radha appear in this world, they take the opportunity. Ab chance nahi chhodna hai. Because this is the only way. They take birth in the land of Vraja, in the bodies of gopis, and they take the opportunity to associate with the gopis who have come down from the spiritual world of Golok Vrindavan with Radha and Krishna. And then they take shelter of them and they get trained by them and they develop this kind of love. When Lord Ram came as Ramchandra, he was sporting with Sita. There were many sages in the forest of Dandakaranya, somehow developed a little bit of desire, just like Sita Devi is serving Ramchandra. We also want to serve Ramchandra in a Madhurya Ras. Ramchandra says, I am Ek Patni Vrata. For this, you have to enter Krishna Lila. So you are liberated souls, but that is not enough. You have to come and take birth and take association of devotees who are already established in that mood. And then you can gradually develop that kind of. So I'm just giving a couple of examples which are given in scriptures. So that is the path that Ramananda Raya is talking about. And there's a verse from the Bhagavad which he quotes. Nayam sukhapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutah jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matam iha. Krishna, the son of Yashoda, is accessible to only those devotees who are engaged in spontaneous loving service. And not for karmis, not for jnanis, and not even for the yogis. So what is the conclusion? Conclusion Ramananda Rai is saying is, one should accept the mood of the gopis, and according to their guidance and the way they have given and the way they are doing, always think of Radha and Krishna, aspiring to serve them in that particular way. And as one is doing that, one should continue to do one's spiritual practices. When one becomes thoroughly purified, and sometimes it may take many births, getting free from material contamination completely and then fully developing that mood of love, one then becomes transferred to the spiritual world in one's Siddha Deha, perfected body of a gopi, and attains an opportunity to serve Radha and Krishna directly. There is no other way. Even Lakshmi Devi, who loves the Lord so much, even as a consort, but because she doesn't have the mood of the gopis, she cannot even enter Vrindavan. Do you know? Lakshmi Devi was not even allowed to enter the Ras Lila. Even though you are the Lord's energy, because you don't have this mood, no entry. So what to speak of all of us? I mean, if she is not allowed, because her mood is the mood of Aishwarya, not the mood of Madhurya. Gopi anugatya vina Aishwarya jnane bhajileha nahi paya Brajendra Nandan. Ramananda Rai says, without accepting Gopi anugatya. Anugatya means taking shelter and serving and following in their footsteps. If one just has a Aishwarya Gyan, attracted to the opulent aspect of the Lord or the opulent nature of the worship of the Lord, one cannot attain Krishna of Braja. So Lord Chaitanya is so happy as all these things are revealed through the mouth of Lord of Ramananda Rai, and Lord Chaitanya is hearing. Lord Chaitanya himself is inspiring this. He was happy, embraces Ramananda Rai, and both of them began to cry because they are talking about this kind of a high love. Both of them are overwhelmed, remembering the love between Radha and Krishna. It is said they passed the night, the whole night, as this conversation was progressing, in love of God, discussing various things. And Ramananda Rai eventually he caught the feet of Lord Chaitanya, and he said, "Oh Lord, you are so kind to me. You came here all this way from Jagannath Puri just to show mercy to me. You are so kind. But please, now that you have come here, please don't leave me. You're touring, you have come here and given me some association, but now you'll go away. Please don't do like that. My heart is so polluted. You must stay here longer. At least for 10 days, please stay here. So that my heart, which is so contaminated, will get cleansed." Of course, Ramananda Rai is not contaminated. He is the most pure of all devotees, but He's feeling like that and he's imploring, oh Lord, other than you, there is no one who can deliver the jivas. And nobody other than you can give love of Krishna. Toma vina anya nahi jiva uddharite, toma vina anya nahi Krishna premadite. And Lord Chaitanya also takes a humble position. No, no, no. I came here because I heard about your good qualities. I came here because I am eager to hear about Krishna from a devotee like you. Because I want to purify my mind. Now that I have actually witnessed your glories, whatever Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told about you is perfect. Confirmed. Topmost. As far as this subject of the loving devotional service between Radha and Krishna, or devotional service for Radha and Krishna and the love between Radha and Krishna, there is no one better than you who knows this topic. I'm certifying. You are topmost. You are asking me for 10 days? Lord Chaitanya is telling Ramananda Rai. You are asking me to stay with you for 10 days? Actually, I after meeting you, I will find it impossible to live without you. Because I'm getting so much pleasure in your association. So my proposal is, please come to Jagannath Puri and stay with me. Because I continuously want to take your association. Let us spend time together in Jagannath Puri, just continuously discussing about these beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So this is the excitement of the devotee. When a devotee meets another devotee, of course, this is the Lord, but because this is the mood of a devotee, and in that association where they can actually relish, because they have a similar mood and similar love for the Lord, they can relish. Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. They get great pleasure in enlightening one another about me. Machchitta madagada prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Says, please, there is, because for a devotee, there is no greater pleasure than this kind of Krishna Katha. With another Sajatiya devotee who has a similar love for the Lord, there is no greater pleasure. Lord Chaitanya says, you are asking for 10 days. I am telling you, you come with me, stay with me. You come to Jagannath Puri. And let us spend the rest of our days discussing Hari Katha. So I'm going to pause here. I have not been able to complete the chapter. So no problem. We have reached verse around 241. So next class, we will definitely complete this chapter. So these are the beautiful pastimes. These are the kind of beautiful interactions. These kind of conversations, these kind of revelations have never happened earlier. You will not find them in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. There are hints to this, but the kind of detail that is explained here very explicitly, these kind of things are revealed only in the period that Krishna and Radharani come in the form of Lord Chaitanya. It's a very, very special. These are hinted. It's not that it is not at all mentioned. So clearly distilled and given on the plate. Correct? There is ghee in the milk, but you must know how to take out the ghee from the milk. So the ghee has been taken out and been given. Otherwise, one has to, first churn. The butter will come, then the butter has to be boiled, and then the impurities have to be removed, and then the ghee will come. But here, the distilled essence of all scriptures is being beautifully presented to us on a platter by Ramananda Rai, inspired by Lord Chaitanya. This is the highest attainment. This is the process to attain. And we are so fortunate to be able to get this opportunity. And that is why in the Bhagavad Gita, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, he who explains the supreme knowledge about me to others, he is most dear to me. Why? Because this is the ultimate welfare work for all living entities. To educate them of what is the highest objective and to guide and inspire them in their efforts, progress in that objective. And this is for all of us. This opportunity is for all of us. Janma sarthaka kari kara para upakar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, perfect your own life by following these instructions and help others to do that. And if you do that, you will become most dear to Krishna. And without a doubt, Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, he will attain me. So with that, I conclude the class. Ramananda Raya ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada. Anyone has anything to say? It's a very exalted topic, so of course I beg forgiveness from the Lord because of my own inability. I must have certainly committed, because of my own conditioning and lack of proper understanding, some offenses, attempts to try to explain this. So I beg forgiveness from the Lord and the great souls for that. So the Lord is so kind, of course, He will always appreciate our attempts if they are done out of humility and sincerity. So, and thank you all also very much for tolerating. Anyone has anything that they want to ask? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, when it comes to all these pastimes about Radha and Krishna and so on, due to our own our own shortcomings and all those things, can we take the approach that we don't want to know about their pastimes, that we kind of take an humble position that I am more keen to practice devotional service through the idea bhakti process, Prabhu, because we are sometimes afraid that by even when we hear the pastimes that we might construe things in a what is that, in a different way, that it could be a deal. It could be deemed as an what aparada or sin, is it?
Yeah. So
Thank you, Prabhu.
when we thank you. So of course there are various pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Some are pastimes which we can discuss in a general audience. Some pastimes between Radha and Krishna we can discuss among sadhaka devotees. But there are certain pastimes of Radha and Krishna which we should discuss only amongst liberated souls. Because otherwise, because a living entity who is still conditioned has lust in his heart, sometimes it is possible that rather than developing love, one will become agitated by lust if one contemplates on these pastimes, especially the intimate pastimes, without actually being properly purified. And that is why one must always follow the guidance that our spiritual masters and our spiritual teachers give us. So for us in general, whatever Prabhupada has explained, whatever the Bhagavatam explains, whatever is there in Krishna book, we accept, recite, discuss. We are not interested to jump into getting into more esoteric literature to develop the mood, because that kind of a thing doesn't happen in a conditioned state. Prabhupada was very clear in his approach that first you become liberated. Then in a liberated stage, when you hear about these kind of pastimes, your natural love for Radha and Krishna, will awaken. So until that time, we continue to perform our sadhana bhakti. Of course, we hear about Radha and Krishna the way the acharyas have explained to us. But for us, as Prabhupada explained, the main, because our acharyas themselves, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, from that line all the way, Rup Goswami, and then Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they are all gopis and manjaris. They are all part of their inner group. So we are fortunate that our Guru Parampara is such that they are already from that group. So what does that mean? Is that if we simply take shelter of their lotus feet, follow their instructions and serve them, we are already fulfilling the instructions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving here, which is to take shelter of those who are from that pastimes and follow their instructions. So for us, that path becomes opened by taking shelter of the pure devotee spiritual master. And in that way, the doors of Vraja become open for us. When we are ready and purified for more higher instructions, for more higher discussions, Krishna through the Guru or through other means will inspire us and guide us to the next level. But for us now, we need to understand, at least at an intellectual level, what our destination is. Because even though we may not be qualified now, if we do not know what our destination is, if we do not know what our sadhya is, and if we do not know ultimately what one sadhana is, one will never reach there. So while we are engaged in sadhana bhakti from a Vaidhi perspective right now, and that may be all that we are doing, but at least we are under the shelter of those who are Raganuga or Ragatmika bhaktas. That is our good fortune. And eventually, as we become purified and come to the liberated stage, we will get the opportunity to do that transition. So we are very clear. We are not doing Vaidhi Bhakti with the end game of remaining in Vaidhi Bhakti. We are doing Vaidhi Bhakti with the end game that we want to eventually, after being purified, transition into a spontaneous attraction. But that is not to be artificially imitated. That is not to be imagined. And that is certainly not something which is attained simply by reading esoteric and imagining. That comes at a liberated platform internally as a spontaneous attraction to serve Krishna in a particular way. So for us, at a practical level, our practices still remain the same. Chant the holy names very attentively, to read the Srimad Bhagavat, to preach, to serve, to worship the deities, to offer Naivedya, to do Aarti, to humbly serve, and most importantly, to humbly serve the advanced devotees, the Guru and other advanced devotees. That actually will open. When we get the heartfelt blessings of great souls who have that kind of an attraction to the Lord, this is what opens the door. Mahat Sevaya Dwaram Ahu Vimuktehe. That the door of liberation opens, especially into these kind of pastimes, by receiving the heartfelt blessings of those who are from that attainment. So thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. So this doesn't mean we just jump into esoteric subject matter and start plunging into it. One needs to tread the path according to adhikar. Just because a person wants to be a lawyer, if he's currently in a primary school, he will not become a lawyer just by going into a law school and sitting in a law class. He may not even be able to properly read English yet. So there is still a journey. But ultimately, he has to enter law class. He cannot go to engineering college and then expect that, oh, I didn't become a lawyer. I went to college. Arey Baba, but did you go to law school? So to become a lawyer, there is a particular process. So now we are in school. Actually, we are in kindergarten. But at least we know which college we want to get admission into, who we want to which professors we want to associate with, by whom we want to be trained. And in that way, we will actually attain the qualification, the adhikar, which is the highest adhikar enable for the jiva. And that is why Lord Chaitanya has come down to this world to give us all that opportunity to attain that kind of highest attainment. Okay. If nothing else, we'll conclude for today. So thank you very, very much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Samaveda Gaurava.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
See you all on Saturday, and we'll continue our discussion of Bhagavatam, and we will enter, not we, our discussion will enter into the hellish regions in our next class as we go further down vertically into the lower parts of the universe. Thank you. Srila
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sapna ji, Shraddha ji, Sneha ji, Archana Mata ji. Very much. Lekha Mata ji, Sri ji, Deepavali Mata ji, Suraj, Anand Sundari Mata ji, Amit, Priya,